Things are really starting to pick up in Philly, and if you're an Eagles fan, you better buckle up because the trade rumor mill has gone absolutely wild. Over the past few days, the Eagles have been at the center of multiple rumors involving some serious talent, both in the trenches and in the secondary. And we're not just talking about pipe dreams here. Some of these names are real, realistic, and could shake up the entire defense if Howie Roseman decides to pull the trigger. Despite the team recently re-signing veteran Brandon Graham and getting set to welcome Nolan Smith back after the bye week, the buzz around the Eagles targeting another edge rusher hasn't died down. In fact, it's only getting louder. There's a growing sense that the front office might not be satisfied just yet, and if the right player becomes available, they could pounce. Some of the names being floated around are exciting, others more under the radar, but all have one thing in common. They could immediately help this defense. Let's start with the Miami Dolphins, who are sitting at a disappointing 1 win and 6 losses. According to new reports, teams around the league are circling their roster like sharks, eyeing their pass rushers. That includes Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips, 2 players with different strengths but serious potential to bolster the Eagles' defensive front. And although Miami hasn't officially put them on the block, the situation down there is trending toward rebuild territory, and the right offer could tempt them. Bradley Chubb has had a strong season so far and would probably cost the most to acquire, but he'd also make the biggest impact right away. Jalen Phillips, on the other hand, is younger, has flashed some real upside, and would come with a cheaper price tag, both in terms of trade value and salary. Then there's Matthew Judon, a veteran who may not be playing at his peak right now, but still brings leadership and depth to a rotation that's always hungry for more pass rush. His name's been tossed into the conversation as well, especially after being a surprise healthy scratch last Sunday, and you just get the feeling something's going on behind the scenes there. But that's just the beginning. The real heat came when ESPN insider Jeremy Fowler dropped his list of the top 25 players most likely to be moved by the trade deadline. Sitting right at the top of that list? Trey Hendrickson. Yeah, that's right. Hendrickson is the #1 trade candidate, and the Eagles were listed as a potential destination. Now, the Bengals have reportedly told teams they're not shopping him, but let's be honest, if the Eagles come calling with the right package, anything is possible. Fowler even gave it a 20% chance of happening, which may not sound high, but in trade deadline talk, that's actually pretty significant. And Hendrickson isn't the only name on that list that had Philadelphia next to it. There's also Jermaine Johnson from the Jets, another young edge rusher with upside who Fowler says could be more available than people think. More so than Will McDonald, at least. Johnson is ranked 10th on Fowler's list and has a 35% chance of being moved. Again, the Eagles are one of the teams named as a possible landing spot. And then you've got Denico Autry and Arden Key from the Titans. 2 more names that popped up because Tennessee is reportedly open to dealing players who are in the final year of their contracts. Fowler gave Key a 40% chance of being traded, and once again, the Eagles were listed as a match. Out of all these names, Arden Key might actually be the most realistic option. He's affordable, available, and would fit right into the rotation. Now, while edge rusher is clearly a priority, that's not the only position the Eagles could be targeting. Cornerback is a glaring need, and the rumors there are just as spicy. One name that keeps popping up is Rick Woolen from the Seahawks. According to Fowler, he's got a massive 50% chance of being moved, which is the second highest percentage of any player on his list. Apparently, multiple league execs believe Seattle is ready to move on from him, and one even said they've been looking to trade him for a while now. If that's true, Howie Roseman better be on the phone already. Woolen might not be perfect. He's had ups and downs. But we're talking about a corner who's 6'4" with elite speed and 11 career interceptions already under his belt. That's the kind of physical profile that doesn't come around often. He's also broken up 30 passes since entering the league, and under a coach like Christian Parker, there's a real chance he could elevate his game to another level. If the price isn't too steep, this is a move the Eagles absolutely have to explore. Another cornerback to watch is Cam Taylor-Britt from the Bengals. He was ranked 20th on Fowler's list, with a 25% chance to be moved. Now, this one's interesting because Taylor-Britt was a healthy scratch last week, which suggests something's going on in Cincinnati. He's still only 26 and has shown production with 7 picks and 15 pass breakups over the past 2 seasons. He's not a flashy name, and there are definitely some question marks, but he fits well into Vic Fangio's zone-heavy scheme. If the Eagles are looking for value, this could be a sneaky good pickup. And it doesn't stop there. Fowler also had the Eagles listed as a possible landing spot for Ravens tight end Mark Andrews. He's number 6 on the list and was given a 20% chance of being traded. Now, let's be real, this one feels like a long shot. The Ravens don't seem ready to move on from a guy like Andrews, and even if they were, the cost would be enormous. But it's still notable that Philly was even mentioned. It shows that the front office is keeping all doors open as they prepare for the second half of the season. And then there's Max Crosby. Oh yeah, the name that just won't go away in trade rumors. Eagles fans have been dreaming of this move for a while, and when reports surfaced that the Cowboys made a call to the Raiders about Crosby, things exploded. That rumor alone had Eagles fans panicking at the thought of him landing in Dallas. But not long after, word came out that the Raiders had sat down with Crosby and told him directly that they weren't shopping him and had no plans to trade him. Both sides want to stay together, or at least that's the public line. And honestly, I believe it for now. But at the same time, the Raiders are going nowhere fast, and if they're serious about rebuilding, moving Crosby while his value is sky high could make sense. It's one of those situations where you just don't know who to believe. Front offices always deny trade rumors until they don't. So for now, we'll take their word for it. But this one might not be completely dead yet. Meanwhile, while all these rumors swirl, Jalen Hurts is quietly putting together an MVP-level season. It's kind of wild when you really stop and look at the numbers, because the national narrative hasn't really caught up to what Hurts is doing. Everyone seems focused on what the Eagles are not doing right, mostly in the run game and some questionable play calling. But somehow, Hurts has kept this team steady and competitive, and they're sitting at 5 wins and 2 losses. Since week 3, he's ranked 3rd in touchdown-to-interception ratio, 4th in passing touchdowns, 4th in yards per attempt, 5th in total offensive yards, and 5th in passer rating. That's not just good, that's elite. And when you zoom out even further, Hurts has the highest passer rating through 7 games in Eagles history. That's insane. He's playing smart, efficient football despite the offense being out of sync at times. If this team starts clicking on all cylinders, especially in the ground game, Hurts' case for MVP will only get stronger. But that's a big if, because the run game has been rough. There's no sugarcoating it. Saquon Barkley recently commented on that exact issue, saying that while the numbers haven't been great and the blocking hasn't been consistent, he still feels physically as strong as ever and remains confident that the run game is going to break out. According to him, the guys up front take immense pride in getting it right, and once everything comes together, it's going to be scary. You've got to love the mindset, but at the same time, it's time to stop talking about it and start doing it. Because through 7 games, the production just hasn't been there. Execution needs to improve, and the play calling needs to be less predictable. Otherwise, even Hurts playing at an MVP level won't be enough to carry them through the tougher matchups ahead. And while we're on the topic of things that could derail this team's momentum, let's talk injuries. The Eagles got a bit of a surprise on Wednesday when it was revealed that A.J. Brown missed practice with a hamstring injury. Now, that's something no one saw coming, especially since he looked fine in the Vikings game. But hamstrings are tricky. They can linger, they can flare up without warning, and they can keep a player out longer than expected. This isn't the first time Brown has dealt with this type of injury either. He missed games early last season because of it, and he also sat out a lot of training camp with a similar issue. Whether it's the same hamstring acting up again or a new one, it's concerning. If Brown can't go this weekend, or worse, if he's out multiple weeks, that could really hurt the offense just as it's finding a rhythm. Now, let's dive back into the injury situation, because it's not just A.J. Brown that the Eagles are keeping a close eye on. Wednesday's practice report revealed a few other key players either sitting out or working their way back into the rotation. One of the more encouraging updates was the activation of the practice window for cornerback Jacorian Bennett. That's a big one, because the Eagles' secondary has been thin all season long, and adding another body, especially one with Bennett's potential, gives the team more flexibility heading into a stretch of games where depth will be tested. Seeing him back on the field this week is a great sign, and it raises the possibility that he could be available to play against the Giants, depending on how the week progresses. On the flip side, Adoree Jackson was notably absent from practice. He's still dealing with lingering issues, and there's a growing sense that he might not be ready for Sunday. If that's the case, then it opens the door even more for Bennett or possibly Kali Ringo to step up. Cam Jurgens, Aziz Ojulari, and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. were also missing from practice, and honestly, that wasn't much of a surprise. None of those names had been trending toward a return, and unless something changes drastically by the end of the week, it's hard to imagine any of them being available for game day. Still, we'll keep monitoring those situations just in case. Now, one positive development was seeing tight end Grant Calcaterra back at practice. He's been sidelined for the last couple of games, and while his role in the offense hasn't been massive, it's still an important one. With injuries piling up and the tight end group already stretched thin, having him available again could be a quiet but valuable boost. And maybe even more exciting than that was seeing Brandon Graham back out on the field. For a guy who's been through it all and is in the twilight of his career, just seeing him in pads again, moving around, laughing with teammates, it brings a certain energy to the team. That leadership, that presence, it matters, especially at this point in the season. Another name worth mentioning is Moro Ojomo. He left the Vikings game with what many thought might be a concussion, but it turns out it was a shoulder issue. Still not ideal, but seeing him return to practice so quickly is a really positive sign. The Eagles need all the help they can get up front, and if Ojomo is cleared and ready to go, that could help solidify the defensive rotation, particularly with the physical style of game that's expected against the Giants. But circling back to A.J. Brown for a second, because that's really the headline here. It's not just that he missed practice, it's that the injury is specifically a hamstring, and that raises a ton of red flags. The Eagles have been through this before with Brown. Hamstring injuries can linger, and they can be super unpredictable. One day a player feels good, and the next they tweak it again. And that's not even accounting for the mental toll that comes with trying to push through that type of injury. When you're a wide receiver who relies so heavily on burst, acceleration, and change of direction, a hamstring strain is not something you just tape up and play through. FlyEaglesFly News family, smash subscribe and hit like. Your support keeps the freshest Philadelphia Eagles updates flying in. Drop your take in the comments, and let's talk birds. In what is rapidly being described as one of the most jaw-dropping moves of the offseason, sources have hinted that star running back Saquon Barkley may be on the verge of leaving the Philadelphia Eagles. While the team has yet to make any official announcement, insiders suggest the departure could be imminent, sending shockwaves through both the franchise and the league. The buzz began swirling late last night when unnamed league sources reportedly confirmed discussions behind closed doors. Barkley, who has been a cornerstone of the Eagles' offense, is no stranger to speculation, but this feels different. Analysts are already predicting a seismic shift in the NFC East, as Philadelphia would suddenly lose not just a dynamic rusher, but a player capable of changing the course of a game on a single play. Fans have taken to social media, creating a storm of memes, hot takes, and speculation about potential destinations. Rumors link Barkley to multiple teams, each with a tantalizing narrative, a reunion with former coaches, a shot at a championship contender, or even a surprise move that could redefine his career. The NFL, already volatile with trades and contract negotiations, now faces an even bigger puzzle. Where could Barkley land? And what will the Eagles' next move be? Within the Eagles' locker room, sources claim there is a mix of disbelief and strategic planning. Teammates are reportedly rallying, unsure whether to publicly address the situation or keep the speculation private. Meanwhile, coaches and management face intense pressure to reassure fans that the team's future remains secure, though losing Barkley would undeniably leave a void both on the field and in team morale. While ESPN has cautiously confirmed that talks are ongoing, they have emphasized that nothing is finalized. Still, the rumor has ignited endless debate. Is this a calculated power play by Barkley, a financial maneuver, or the start of a major reshuffling across the NFL? Whatever the truth, one thing is certain. This story will dominate sports headlines for weeks, if not months, as fans, pundits, and rival teams watch every development with bated breath. The league is officially on fire, and the Eagles, for now, are at the center of the storm. That's a wrap from FlyEaglesFly News. If you want the fastest Eagles updates, subscribe, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Sound off in the comments. Let's talk birds.